The sound that ended my marriage wasn't a scream or a sob. It was the squeak of our bedroom door at 3 a.m. I'd been meaning to oil those hinges for months, the same way I'd been meaning to fix a lot of things around here. Like my wife's habit of lying through her teeth. My name's Jack Sullivan, and I fix houses for a living. High-end restoration work in Westport, Connecticut, where people pay me $60 an hour to make their McMansions look like they have character. The irony isn't lost on me that I can repair anything except my own life. Jack, we need to talk. My wife Amanda stood in the kitchen doorway, perfectly composed at 7 a.m. despite whatever kept her out until dawn. Her blonde hair was pulled back in that severe bun she wore when she meant business. At 38, she still turned heads, and she knew it. About what? I asked, not looking up from my coffee. The newspaper was full of the usual garbage, politicians lying, celebrities cheating, normal Tuesday stuff. About us. About changes that need to happen. That got my attention. Amanda worked as a marketing consultant for tech startups, which meant she spoke in corporate buzzwords even during breakfast. When she said changes, she meant demands. She sat across from me and slid a folded piece of paper across the table. I made a list. Of course she did. Amanda loved lists almost as much as she loved getting her way. I unfolded the paper and read, Changes Jack must make. 1. Lose 20 pounds. 2. Buy better clothes, no more flannel. 3. Get a real job with benefits. 4. Stop being so sarcastic. 5. Learn to appreciate fine dining. 6. Take dance lessons. 7. Be more social with my friends. 8. Stop questioning my schedule. I read it twice, waiting for the punchline. When none came, I looked up at Amanda's expectant face. This is a joke, right? I'm completely serious, Jack. We've been married 8 years, and you've gotten comfortable. I need a partner who can keep up with my lifestyle. Your lifestyle? I set down my coffee cup harder than necessary. You mean the lifestyle where you disappear 3 nights a week for client meetings and come home smelling like expensive cologne I don't wear? Her jaw tightened. See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. The paranoia, the accusations. It's exhausting. I stood up and walked to the junk drawer, pulling out a pen. Then I sat back down and wrote on the bottom of her list, Changes Amanda must make. 1. Find a new husband. I slid the paper back to her. There. I fixed your list. Amanda's face went white, then red. You can't be serious. Dead serious, and unlike your list, mine only has 1 item. Makes it easier to remember. I grabbed my work jacket and headed for the door. Behind me, Amanda was sputtering something about counseling and working things out, but I was already gone. The thing about being a restoration contractor is that you learn to spot rot before it spreads. I should have seen the signs in my marriage months ago. The late nights, the new clothes, the way Amanda flinched when I touched her. But like most people, I kept applying fresh paint over the decay, hoping it would somehow fix itself. My first job that morning was at the Morrison place, a colonial revival that needed new crown molding in the dining room. Mrs. Morrison was 83 and made the best coffee in Westport. She also had no filter whatsoever. You look like hell, Jack, she said, handing me a steaming mug. Marriage troubles? Is it that obvious? Honey, I've been married 57 years. I can smell marital discord from 3 blocks away. What did she do? I almost laughed. Most people would assume I was the problem. She gave me a list of ways to improve myself. 8 items long. Mrs. Morrison snorted. Lists are for groceries, not husbands. What did you tell her? That she should find a new husband. Good for you. She patted my shoulder. My Harold tried that list nonsense once back in '73. I told him he could make a list of all the reasons he was sleeping on the couch. I spent the morning installing molding and thinking about Amanda's list. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just at the list itself, but at what it represented. 8 years of marriage reduced to a performance review. By lunch, I was ready to go home and have a real conversation about our problems. Maybe we could work things out like adults. That optimism lasted exactly 30 seconds after I walked through the front door. Amanda was on the phone in the living room, speaking in hushed tones. When she saw me, she quickly said, "I have to go," and hung up. "Client call?" I asked. "Yes, a very important client." "Must be." "You sounded pretty intimate for a business conversation." Her face flushed. "I don't know what you think you heard. I heard you say I miss you too, baby. That's either a very unprofessional client relationship or you're lying to me. Again." Amanda stood up, smoothing her skirt. "I don't have to listen to this paranoid garbage. Some of us have real work to do." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. As she passed me, I caught a whiff of that cologne again, something expensive and masculine that definitely wasn't mine. "Amanda, wait." She turned back, and for a second I thought I saw something like regret in her eyes. "What? Who is he?" The regret vanished, replaced by cold anger. "Go to hell, Jack." The door slammed behind her, leaving me alone in our perfectly decorated living room. Amanda had chosen everything: the furniture, the paint colors, even the books on the shelves. Looking around, I realized there was almost nothing of me in this house. I was just another fixture she was trying to upgrade. I walked to the window and watched her BMW disappear down Maple Street. For 8 years, I'd been fixing other people's houses while my own marriage fell apart. Maybe it was time to stop ignoring the rot and start dealing with it. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister Lisa. "Drinks tonight? You sound terrible." I hadn't realized I sounded like anything, but Lisa had always been able to read me like a blueprint. I texted back, "Murphy's Tavern, 7 p.m., bring tissues." That bad? Worse. The rest of the day dragged by. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering to Amanda's list. The more I thought about it, the more insulting it became. She wanted me to change everything about myself while she couldn't even be bothered to come home at night. At 6:30, I was sitting in Murphy's Tavern nursing a beer when Lisa walked in. My sister was 2 years younger but acted like my mother most of the time. She worked as a nurse at Norwalk Hospital and had zero patience for self-pity. "You look like someone ran over your dog," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. Worse. Someone ran over my marriage. I told her about the list, about Amanda's late nights, about the cologne and the phone calls. Lisa listened without interrupting, which was unusual for her. "So what are you going to do?" she asked when I finished. "I have no idea. Part of me wants to fight for us, but I'm not sure there's an us left to fight for." "Jack, can I be brutally honest? When are you anything else? Amanda's been cheating on you for months. Probably longer." The words hit like a punch to the gut, even though I'd been thinking the same thing. "You don't know that. I'm a woman. I know the signs. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" "I could hire a private investigator." "Forget that. You want proof? Follow her yourself. She's not exactly being subtle." Lisa was right. Amanda had gotten sloppy lately, almost like she wanted to be caught. Maybe she was tired of sneaking around. Maybe she was ready to end things but wanted me to do the dirty work. I can't just spy on my own wife. "Why not?" "She's obviously not worried about your feelings." I finished my beer and ordered another. The tavern was filling up with the after-work crowd, people laughing and complaining about their bosses. Normal people with normal problems. "There's something else," I said. "I found a key in her purse last week." It was labeled Riverside Cottage. I've never heard her mention any cottage. Lisa leaned forward. "Did you ask her about it?" "She said it belonged to her friend Karen, that they were thinking about renting it for a girls' weekend." "And you believed her?" "I wanted to believe her." "Jack, you're a smart guy. Stop acting like an idiot. If Amanda's having an affair, you need to know about it before you make any decisions about your marriage." She was right, but the thought of actually following Amanda made my stomach turn. 8 years ago, I'd promised to love and trust her. Now I was contemplating treating her like a suspect. "I'll think about it," I said. "Don't think too long. The longer you wait, the more time she has to cover her tracks." We talked for another hour about everything except Amanda. Lisa told me about her latest dating disasters, and I complained about difficult clients. For a while, it felt almost normal, but as I drove home through the quiet streets of Westport, reality crashed back down. My marriage was probably over, and I was too much of a coward to find out for sure. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Amanda's car wasn't there, which meant another late night. I sat in my truck for a few minutes, staring at the windows of what used to feel like home. Inside, I found a note on the kitchen counter. "Working late. Don't wait up." I crumpled the note and threw it in the trash. Then I walked upstairs to our bedroom and opened Amanda's jewelry box. Hidden underneath her pearl necklace was the key Lisa had asked about. I held it up to the light, reading the tag, "Riverside Cottage, 847 Mill Pond Road." My hands were shaking as I grabbed my laptop and searched for the address. Mill Pond Road was in Ridgefield, about 20 minutes away. According to the real estate website, 847 Mill Pond Road was a 2-bedroom cottage that rented for $3,000 a month. Quite expensive for a girl's weekend. I stared at the photos on the screen. A cozy living room with a stone fireplace, a master bedroom with French doors leading to a deck, a kitchen with granite countertops. It looked like the perfect place for a romantic getaway. My phone rang, startling me. Amanda's name appeared on the screen. "Hello? Jack, I'm going to be very late tonight. Don't wait up." "Where are you?" "I told you, working. This client is very demanding." "Which client?" There was a pause. "You wouldn't know him. He's from out of town. Him." She'd slipped up. "What's his name?" "Jack, I really don't have time for 20 questions. I'll see you tomorrow." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding the phone, feeling like the biggest fool in Connecticut. While I was home worrying about our marriage, Amanda was probably 20 minutes away with her demanding client. I looked at the key again, then at my truck keys on the nightstand. Lisa's words echoed in my head. "Stop acting like an idiot." It was time to stop being the trusting husband and start being the guy who fixed things, even if what needed fixing was my own broken heart. I'd like to say I spent the rest of the night planning my next move, but the truth is, I sat on the couch drinking beer and watching old movies until I passed out around 2 a.m. When I woke up, Amanda was already gone. Her note said she had early meetings, but her coffee cup was still warm. She'd left in a hurry. The key to the Riverside Cottage sat on my nightstand like a loaded gun. Every time I looked at it, my stomach churned. Part of me wanted to put it back in Amanda's jewelry box and pretend I'd never found it. The other part, the part that was tired of being played for a fool, wanted answers. I had a light schedule that Thursday, just a consultation in Greenwich and some finish work on a kitchen remodel. By noon, I was done and sitting in my truck outside Murphy's Tavern, staring at my phone. Lisa had texted me 3 times. "Any updates?" "Did you talk to her? Stop being a coward." My sister never was one for subtlety. I was about to head home when I saw a familiar figure walking out of the upscale restaurant across the street. Amanda, wearing the red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, was laughing at something the man beside her had said. The man was tall, probably 6'2", with salt and pepper hair and an expensive suit. He looked like he belonged on the cover of a business magazine, all confidence and white teeth. As I watched, he put his hand on the small of Amanda's back and guided her toward a black Mercedes. I grabbed my phone and took a picture, my hands shaking with adrenaline and rage. The image was clear enough to see Amanda's face, bright with happiness I hadn't seen in months. She looked at this stranger the way she used to look at me. They got into the Mercedes and drove away, leaving me sitting in my truck with photographic proof that my marriage was over. The rational part of my brain said I should go home, pack Amanda's bags, and file for divorce. But the part that had been lied to for months wanted more than just confirmation. It wanted the whole truth. I drove to Mill Pond Road. The Riverside cottage was exactly as advertised, a charming 2-bedroom rental tucked away on a quiet street lined with maple trees. The Mercedes was parked in the driveway. I parked 3 houses down and walked back, staying on the opposite side of the street. The cottage had large windows facing the road, and I could see movement inside. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure the neighbors could hear it. Through the living room window, I saw Amanda and her mystery man on the couch. They were drinking wine and talking, looking for all the world like a happy couple. She was curled up against his side, her hand resting on his chest. I pulled out my phone and took more pictures, hating myself with each click. This wasn't who I wanted to be, a husband hiding in bushes, documenting his wife's betrayal. But Amanda had made the choice for both of us when she decided to have an affair. As I watched, the man stood up and walked to the kitchen. Amanda followed, and they disappeared from view. I moved closer, crouching behind a parked car to get a better angle. Big mistake. Can I help you with something? I spun around to find an elderly woman standing behind me, walking a small dog. She was wearing a concerned expression and holding her phone like she was ready to call the police. "Oh, hi," I said, standing up and trying to look innocent. My wife and I are thinking about renting that cottage. I wanted to get a better look at the neighborhood." The woman's expression softened slightly. "It's a lovely area. Very quiet. Are you working with a realtor?" "Not yet. Just doing some preliminary research." She nodded and continued walking, but I could feel her watching me. I waited until she was out of sight, then hurried back to my truck. My amateur spy career was off to a rocky start. I sat there for another hour, watching the cottage and feeling like a complete stalker. Around 3 o'clock, the front door opened and Amanda appeared, followed by her companion. They kissed goodbye, not a friendly peck, but a long, intimate kiss that left no doubt about their relationship. Amanda got into her BMW and drove away. The man watched her go, then walked back inside. I waited another 10 minutes before following Amanda's route back toward town. My phone rang as I was sitting at a red light. Amanda's name appeared on the screen. "Hi, honey," she said, her voice bright and cheerful. "How's your day going?" The casual lie hit me like a slap. 2 hours ago, she'd been kissing another man, and now she was calling me honey like nothing had happened. "Fine," I managed. "How are your meetings going?" "Oh, you know how it is. Lots of boring client stuff. I'll probably be late again tonight." "Another demanding client?" "The same one from yesterday. He's very thorough." "I'll bet he is," I thought. "What's his name again?" There was a pause. Richard Sterling. He's in real estate development. At least now I had a name to go with the face." "Sounds important." "He is. This could be a huge contract for me, Jack. Life-changing money. I'm sure it could be." We hung up, and I sat there processing what I'd learned. Amanda wasn't just having an affair. She was planning a future with this Richard Sterling. The life-changing money comment made it clear this wasn't just about sex. She was looking for an upgrade. I drove home and spent the rest of the afternoon researching Richard Sterling online. He wasn't hard to find. Sterling Development was a major player in Connecticut real estate, with projects from Hartford to Greenwich. Richard was 45, divorced, and worth an estimated $50 million. No wonder Amanda wanted me to lose weight and buy better clothes. She was comparing me to a millionaire. By 6 o'clock, I had a complete picture of my competition. Richard Sterling was everything I wasn't: rich, sophisticated, and apparently available. He drove expensive cars, owned multiple properties, and had been featured in Connecticut Magazine as one of the state's most eligible bachelors. I was a contractor who drove a 10-year-old pickup truck and whose biggest claim to fame was restoring a Victorian mansion in Old Greenwich. Game over. I was pouring myself a whiskey when Amanda came home around 8:30. She looked flushed and happy, her hair slightly mussed despite obvious attempts to fix it. "How was your day?" she asked, kissing my cheek. I could smell his cologne on her skin. "Productive." "How was Richard Sterling?" Amanda froze. "What?" "Your client." "Richard Sterling. You said he was demanding." "Oh, right, yes, very demanding. Wants everything perfect." I looked him up online. Impressive guy. Sterling Development is a major company. Amanda's face went pale. "You looked him up? Why?" "Just curious about the client who's keeping my wife out so late. He's quite handsome in his photos." "Jack, what are you implying?" I finished my whiskey and looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd married 8 years ago was still there, but she was wrapped in lies and deception now. "I'm not implying anything, Amanda. I'm stating facts. You're having an affair with Richard Sterling. You've been meeting him at a cottage on Mill Pond Road, and you're planning to leave me for him." Amanda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. That's completely ridiculous. I would never. I saw you today, at lunch, at the cottage. I have pictures." The fight went out of her all at once. She sat down heavily on the couch, her hands shaking. "How long?" I asked. "Jack, please." "How long, Amanda?" 3 months, she whispered. 3 months. While I was installing crown molding and fixing leaky faucets, my wife was falling in love with someone else. "Are you leaving me?" She looked up, tears in her eyes. "I don't know. I'm confused, Jack. Richard offers me a different life. Security, excitement. And I offer what? Flannel shirts and sarcasm? You offer you, but I'm not sure that's enough anymore." At least she was being honest. It hurt like hell, but it was honest. "So what now?" I asked. "I don't know. Richard wants me to move in with him, but I'm scared. What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm making a huge mistake?" "You're asking me for relationship advice about your affair? I'm asking you to understand that this isn't just about sex or money. Richard makes me feel alive again. When I'm with him, I remember who I used to be before I became just your wife. That hurt more than the affair itself. I'd thought being my wife was something to be proud of. Apparently I was wrong. What do you want from me, Amanda? Time. Space to figure things out." "How much time?" "I don't know. A few weeks? Maybe a month?" I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, our neighbors were living their normal lives, walking dogs, checking mail, probably not discussing their wives' affairs. "I'll give you all the time you need," I said finally, "but not here. If you want to figure things out with Richard, do it on your own dime. Jack, please, I want you out by Sunday. Take whatever you need, but don't expect me to sit here waiting while you decide between your husband and your boyfriend." Amanda started crying then, big dramatic sobs that might have moved me a week ago. Now they just sounded like manipulation. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I'm sure Richard has room at his place. Or the cottage. I really don't care." She cried harder. "I never meant for this to happen." But it did happen. And now we both have to deal with it. I walked upstairs, leaving Amanda sobbing on the couch. In our bedroom, my bedroom now, I pulled out a suitcase and started packing her clothes. If she wanted a new life, she could start living it immediately. My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. "How did it go?" I typed back, "She's moving out Sunday. I'm sorry, Jack. Me too." But as I folded Amanda's expensive dresses and packed her designer shoes, I realized I wasn't just sorry, I was angry. 8 years of marriage, and she'd thrown it away for a man with a bigger bank account. Amanda wanted time to figure things out? Fine. But she was going to figure them out somewhere else, and I was going to figure out how to rebuild my life without her. The first step was getting her out of my house. The second step was making sure she understood exactly what she was giving up. Amanda left on Sunday morning with 3 suitcases and a promise to be in touch soon. She didn't say where she was going, but I assumed it was either Richard's place or the cottage. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. For the first time in months, the house felt peaceful. I could watch what I wanted on TV, eat cereal for dinner, and not worry about Amanda's mood swings. It should have been liberating. Instead, it was lonely as hell. By Wednesday, I was climbing the walls. I'd finished every project around the house, reorganized my tools twice, and watched more Netflix than any human should. I needed to get out and do something normal, so I decided to grab dinner at Rossetti's, the Italian place where Amanda and I used to go with our friends. That turned out to be a mistake. I was halfway through my chicken parmigiana when I heard familiar laughter from across the restaurant. Dave and Jennifer Morrison, no relation to my elderly client, were sitting at a corner table with another couple. Dave had been my best friend since college, and Jennifer was Amanda's closest girlfriend. They'd been to our house dozens of times for barbecues and game nights. I waved at them, expecting the usual warm greeting. Instead, Dave gave me a curt nod and turned back to his conversation. Jennifer pretended not to see me at all. The message was clear. I'd been cut from the social circle. I finished my dinner quickly and was heading for the door when Dave intercepted me near the bar. "Jack, hey, how are you holding up?" "I'm fine. How are you?" Dave looked uncomfortable, like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Listen, Jennifer talked to Amanda yesterday. She told us what happened." "What did she tell you?" "About the separation. About you throwing her out with nowhere to go." I felt my temper rising. "Is that what she said? That I threw her out?" "She said you gave her an ultimatum. Choose between you and her client, and when she asked for time to think, you kicked her out." "Her client?" I laughed bitterly. "Is that what she's calling Richard Sterling now?" Dave's face flushed. "Look, I don't want to get in the middle of this." "You're already in the middle of it. You're taking sides based on Amanda's version of events." "I'm not taking sides. I just think you could have handled it better. Marriage is about compromise, Jack. Working through problems together. You're right. I should have been more understanding when I found out my wife was screwing a millionaire behind my back." Dave took a step back. "That's not... Amanda said you were paranoid, that you accused her of things without any proof." "I have pictures, Dave. I followed her to their love nest and took pictures. Want to see them?" "Jesus, Jack, you followed her? That's pretty messed up." I stared at my former best friend, trying to process what was happening. "So let me get this straight. Amanda lies to me for 3 months, has an affair, and plans to leave me for another man. But I'm the bad guy because I found out about it. I'm just saying there are 2 sides to every story. What's Amanda's side? That she accidentally fell on Richard Sterling's dick? You don't have to be crude about it." "Crude? My wife is cheating on me and you're worried about my language?" Jennifer appeared at Dave's side, her face cold as ice. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem," I said. Dave was just explaining how I should be more understanding about Amanda's affair. "It's not an affair," Jennifer snapped. "It's a relationship. Amanda is exploring her options before making a life-changing decision." Exploring her options? She's married to me, a marriage that clearly wasn't working. Amanda told me how controlling you've become, how you monitor her every move and accuse her of cheating. I accused her of cheating because she was cheating. "Keep your voice down," Dave hissed, looking around the restaurant. "People are staring." "Let them stare. Maybe they should know what kind of friends you really are." Jennifer stepped closer, her voice dripping with contempt. "Amanda is staying with us until she figures out her next move. And from what I've seen, leaving you was the smartest thing she's ever done." "She's staying with you?" "That's right. Because unlike some people, we believe in supporting our friends when they need help." The pieces clicked into place. Amanda wasn't staying with Richard or at the cottage. She was at Dave and Jennifer's house, playing the victim and turning our mutual friends against me. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. How long has what been going on? Dave replied. How long have you known about Richard Sterling? Dave and Jennifer exchanged a look. Amanda told us about him last week, Jennifer said, after you kicked her out. Bullshit. You've known for months, haven't you? You've been covering for her, helping her sneak around behind my back. That's not true. It is true. You probably introduced them. Where did Amanda meet Richard, Jennifer? At one of your fancy charity events? Jennifer's face went white. Bingo. You did introduce them. Jesus Christ, you set up my wife with another man. It wasn't like that, Jennifer stammered. Richard was at our Christmas party, and he and Amanda just connected. I didn't know anything would happen. But when it did happen, you encouraged it. You helped her lie to me. I helped her find happiness, Jennifer shot back. Something she obviously wasn't getting at home. The restaurant had gone quiet around us. Other diners were openly staring now, but I didn't care. 8 years of friendship had just gone up in smoke, and I wanted everyone to see it burn. You're pathetic, I said to Jennifer. Both of you. You helped destroy my marriage, and now you're acting like I'm the villain. We didn't destroy anything, Dave said. You did that all by yourself with your jealousy and paranoia. My paranoia? I caught my wife having an affair. You drove her to it, Jennifer said. Amanda told me how you've changed over the years. How you stopped trying, stopped caring about your appearance, stopped being the man she married. So it's my fault that she cheated? It's your fault that she felt trapped and unloved. I looked at these people I'd considered my closest friends and realized I'd never really known them at all. They were shallow, selfish people who valued appearances over loyalty. You know what? I said. You're perfect for each other. Amanda gets to play the victim, you get to play the rescuers, and I get to see who my real friends are. Jack, wait, Dave started, but I was already walking away. Tell Amanda she can pick up the rest of her stuff this weekend. After that, I don't want to see any of you again. I walked out of Rossetti's with every eye in the place on me. My face was burning with embarrassment and rage, but I held my head high. Let them stare. Let them gossip. At least I wasn't a cheater or a liar. The drive home was a blur of anger and hurt. It was one thing to lose Amanda. Our marriage had been dying for months. But losing Dave and Jennifer felt like a betrayal on a whole different level. These were people who'd been to our wedding, who'd celebrated birthdays and holidays with us, and they'd thrown it all away to help Amanda cheat. I was sitting in my driveway, trying to calm down when my phone rang. Lisa's name appeared on the screen. How are you doing? She asked. I just had dinner with Dave and Jennifer. Or rather, I just found out they've been helping Amanda cheat on me for months. What? Those bastards. I told her the whole story, from the cold reception to Jennifer's admission that she'd introduced Amanda to Richard. I can't believe this, Lisa said when I finished. I never liked Jennifer, but I thought Dave was a good guy. So did I. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of people. Jack, listen to me. This is not your fault. Amanda made her choices, and Dave and Jennifer made theirs. You don't need people like that in your life. I know. It just hurts. 8 years of friendship gone. Their loss. You're better off without them. Lisa was right, but that didn't make it hurt less. I'd lost my wife, my best friend, and my social circle all in 1 week. At this rate, I'd be completely alone by Christmas. There's something else, I said. Jennifer made it sound like Amanda is planning to stay with them long term. Like she's not coming back. Maybe that's for the best. You need to start thinking about divorce proceedings. I know. I just thought... I don't know what I thought. You thought she might come to her senses and realize what she was throwing away. But Jack, even if she did, could you ever trust her again? The honest answer was no. Even if Amanda came crawling back tomorrow, I'd always wonder where she was, who she was with, what she was doing. The trust was gone, and without trust, There was no marriage. "You're right," I said. "I need to call a lawyer." "Good. And Jack? Don't let them make you the villain in this story. You're not the one who cheated. You're not the one who lied. Remember that." After we hung up, I sat in my truck for a long time, thinking about the last 8 years. Had I really changed that much? Had I stopped trying, stopped caring, stopped being the man Amanda married? Maybe I had. Maybe I'd gotten comfortable and lazy, but that didn't justify what she'd done. If she was unhappy, she should have talked to me, not jumped into bed with the first rich guy who smiled at her. I walked into my empty house and poured myself a beer. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of legally ending my marriage. Tonight, I was going to sit in my own living room, watch whatever I wanted on TV, and not apologize to anyone for being myself. For the first time since this whole mess started, that felt like enough. The divorce attorney's office smelled like leather and disappointment. Margaret Chen, no relation to anyone I'd ever met, was a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who specialized in high-conflict marital dissolution. Her assistant had used those exact words when I called for an appointment, like my marriage was a hazardous waste site that needed special handling. "So," Margaret said, reviewing the notes I'd given her, "your wife has been having an affair for 3 months. She's living with mutual friends who helped facilitate the relationship, and she wants time to figure things out before deciding between you and her lover. That's about the size of it." "And you have photographic evidence of the affair?" I slid my phone across her desk. Margaret scrolled through the pictures I'd taken outside the cottage and at the restaurant, her expression neutral. "These are good," she said. "Clear faces, obvious intimacy, timestamps. Connecticut is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery can still affect asset division and alimony. How long were you married?" 8 years. "Any children?" "No." "Significant assets?" I laughed bitterly. "That depends on your definition of significant. We own the house. It's worth about $400,000. I have my business, some retirement savings. Amanda has her consulting firm and a BMW that's still being paid for. Debts? The mortgage, her car loan, some credit cards, maybe $100,000 total." Margaret made notes on a legal pad. "Relatively straightforward, then. The question is whether your wife will try to claim temporary or permanent alimony. Based on what?" "She makes more money than I do." "Based on the lifestyle she's become accustomed to. If she's involved with a wealthy man, she might argue that she needs support to maintain her standard of living while she transitions to a new relationship. That's insane. That's divorce law. Has she made any demands yet?" "No. She's been too busy playing house with her new friends." Margaret leaned back in her chair. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to give you some advice that might sound harsh. Your wife is building a narrative where you're the bad guy, controlling, paranoid, unwilling to work on the marriage. Her friends are supporting this narrative, which means they'll likely testify on her behalf if this goes to trial." "Testify about what?" "I never hit her, never threatened her, never did anything except catch her cheating." "But did you follow her? Take pictures without her knowledge? Demand that she choose between you and her client without attempting counseling first?" I saw where this was going. "So I'm the villain because I found out the truth?" "You're not the villain, but your actions could be portrayed as controlling and invasive. A good attorney, and your wife will probably hire a very good attorney, could argue that you drove her into another man's arms through emotional abuse." "Emotional abuse? I fixed her breakfast every morning and told her I loved her every night. And then you spied on her and gave her an ultimatum. I felt like I was in some alternate universe where cheating wives were victims and faithful husbands were abusers. So what do you recommend?" "Document everything. Keep records of all communication with your wife. Don't contact her directly unless absolutely necessary. Let everything go through me. And whatever you do, don't lose your temper in public again." "Again?" Margaret smiled grimly. "Small town, Mr. Sullivan. Your argument at Rossetti's is already making the rounds. My assistant heard about it at the grocery store this morning." Great. Now I was the crazy husband who made scenes in restaurants. One more thing, Margaret said. Has your wife asked for any specific property or support? Not yet. She said she just needs time to think. When people say they need time to think, they're usually buying time to hide assets or build a case. I'd recommend getting a forensic accountant to review your joint finances. Make sure there aren't any surprises. I left Margaret's office feeling like I needed a shower. The legal system seemed designed to reward bad behavior and punish honesty. Amanda could cheat on me, lie to me, and turn our friends against me, but I was the one who had to worry about being portrayed as abusive. My phone buzzed as I was walking to my truck. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at Starbucks on Post Road at 2 p.m. Amanda. I checked my watch. It was 1:30. Apparently, Amanda had decided she was ready to negotiate. I found her at a corner table looking nervous and tired. She'd lost weight in the past week, and her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. For a moment, she looked like the woman I'd married instead of the stranger who'd been living in my house. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. Margaret Chen says all communication should go through lawyers. Margaret Chen? My divorce attorney, very nice woman, specializes in high-conflict cases. Amanda's face went pale. You hired a divorce attorney? What did you expect, Amanda? You're living with our friends, screwing a millionaire, and telling everyone who'll listen that I'm a controlling monster. Did you think I'd just wait around until you decided what you wanted to do with your life? I never said you were controlling. Jennifer Morrison disagrees. According to her, I drove you into Richard's arms through emotional abuse. Amanda looked genuinely shocked. I never said that. She's been very supportive, but sometimes she reads more into things than I actually say. So you're not claiming that I was abusive? Of course not. Jack, you're a lot of things, but you're not abusive. I would never say that. Then what did you tell them? Amanda fidgeted with her coffee cup. I told them we were having problems. That you'd become suspicious and jealous, and that I'd met someone who made me feel appreciated again. Appreciated. Is that what we're calling it now? I'm trying to be honest with you. Honest? You lied to me for 3 months. You had an affair, let our friends help you cover it up, and then moved in with them when I found out. Where's the honesty in any of that? You're right. I handled this badly. I should have talked to you about our problems before Richard. Before you started fucking Richard, you mean? Amanda flinched. Do you have to be so crude? I'm sorry if my language offends you. I'll try to be more considerate of your feelings while you're destroying our marriage. We sat in silence for a moment. Around us, other customers were having normal conversations about work and weekend plans. I envied them their ordinary problems. What do you want, Amanda? I want to work something out. Without lawyers, without all the drama. We're both adults. We should be able to handle this ourselves. Handle what exactly? You haven't told me what you've decided about your future. I'm still figuring that out. While living with Dave and Jennifer and dating Richard Sterling, I'm not dating him. We're exploring our connection. Jesus Christ, Amanda. Listen to yourself. You're a married woman having an affair, not a teenager exploring her sexuality. I know this is hard for you. Hard for me? It's hard for me? My wife is cheating on me with a millionaire while our friends help her do it, and you think it's just hard for me? Please don't yell. I looked around and realized I was attracting attention again. The barista was staring, and an older woman at the next table was openly eavesdropping. Fine, I said quietly. What do you want to work out? The house? Our finances? How we divide things? I don't want this to get ugly. It's already ugly, Amanda. You made sure of that when you decided to cheat instead of talking to me about our problems. I tried to talk to you. Remember the list? I was trying to tell you what I needed. The list was you trying to turn me into someone else. If you wanted to be married to Richard Sterling, you should have divorced me first. Amanda started crying, not the dramatic sobs from the other night, but quiet tears that made her look genuinely sad. I never meant for this to happen, she said. I met Richard at Jennifer's Christmas party, and he was so charming and sophisticated. He made me remember what it felt like to be desired, to be seen as more than just someone's wife. I saw you as more than just someone's wife. Did you? When was the last time you told me I was beautiful? When was the last time we went somewhere nice, just the two of us? When was the last time you seemed excited to see me when I came home? The questions hit like physical blows because I couldn't answer them. I'd gotten comfortable in our marriage, taking Amanda for granted while focusing on work and routine. That doesn't justify what you did, I said finally. No, it doesn't. But it explains it. So what now? You want me to forgive you and take you back? I don't know what I want. That's why I need more time. Time for what? To see if Richard will leave his girlfriend for you? To figure out if his money is worth more than our marriage? It's not about money, isn't it? Richard Sterling is worth $50 million, Amanda. He can give you the lifestyle you've always wanted. The clothes, the cars, the houses. I'm just a contractor who drives a pickup truck. I don't care about his money. Then why are you with him instead of working on our marriage? Amanda was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Because he makes me feel alive. When I'm with Richard, I feel like the person I was before I got married. Independent, exciting, desirable. With you, I feel like I'm just going through the motions. And that's my fault? It's both our faults. We stopped trying, Jack. Both of us. We became roommates instead of lovers. She was right, and that made it hurt even more. Our marriage had died slowly, day by day, until we were just two people sharing a house and a mortgage. So, what do you want from me? I asked. I want you to let me figure this out without pressure, without lawyers and ultimatums and public scenes. Can you do that? I looked at my wife, soon to be ex-wife, and felt a mixture of love and hate that made my chest ache. I'll give you 2 weeks, I said. 2 weeks to decide what you want. After that, I'm filing for divorce whether you're ready or not. 2 weeks isn't very long. It's longer than you gave our marriage before you started screwing around. Take it or leave it. Amanda nodded reluctantly. Okay, 2 weeks. And Amanda? If you decide to work things out with me, Richard Sterling is out of the picture permanently. No contact, no friendship, nothing. I won't be married to a woman who's keeping her backup plan warm. I understand. Do you? Because if I find out you're still seeing him while you're supposedly deciding between us, I'll make sure everyone in Westport knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Amanda's eyes flashed with anger. Are you threatening me? I'm promising you! 2 weeks, Amanda. Don't waste them. I left her sitting in Starbucks, probably already planning her next move. As I drove home, I realized I'd just given my cheating wife more time to destroy our marriage. But at least now I had a deadline. 2 weeks to prepare for the end of my old life and the beginning of whatever came next.